Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video with me, Sherman. Today guys, we're going to be talking about racial changes and how it's going to affect the game, if it's good, if it's bad, what's my thoughts on it, and all I can say right now is if they make the races any closer in comparison to, like, damage, yeah, like, it's not even funny, guys, like, how close it is, and people are blowing this way out of proportion. So what I'm going to show you guys is here I am on a Stamina DPS High Elf Warden. Okay? You can see I have 27k max stamina, 16k health, 13k magicka. I have a 3,247 weapon damage with a 51% weapon critical. My stats, you know, like they're pretty decent for a Stam DPS, right? Alright. So let's do this. I'm going to parse this precursor, and I'm using the precursor because it's just easier to do it on, and then I can swap out races and then show you guys that in an actual thing so you guys can see for yourselves. So let's do this. So we're going to buff up. Alright, so let's see what kind of damage we got from that. We got 30,355, okay? Now that's not the original parse I did with this. This is the other parse I did, 32,605. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a second, and I'm going to do this one more time so you guys can see. I'm going to give it 7 seconds, so I'm going to do it one more time so you guys can see this. Because I should stay within a certain variable range, okay? So here we go. Pop our potion. Alright, so here we are. 32,973, almost 33k that time. That's because I crit more. Okay, so there's the differences, as you guys can see. 30,000, 32,000, and 32,000, 30,000, 32,000, all within marginal range of each other, like pretty close, right? So let's go ahead and do this. We're gonna go ahead and log out. We're going to switch races, and this time I'm going to switch to Khajiit. Now, you're going to think, well, Khajiit's going to do better, right? A lot better, because it's Khajiit. I mean, they get extra stam, they get extra crit. This is going to make them phenomenal, just so you guys can see that is a Khajiit. They're going to be kicked by. They're going to be the best. They're going to outdo that high elf I was just on. Now, I want you to see the stats before I do the passives so you guys can see the difference. Because I'm going to add extra stats to my character. Because here's the baseline. 27,378. That's exactly what the High Elf had. 16k health. That's a little bit less than the High Elf had. Well, it's about the same. Right now. But I haven't buffed myself. And 1178. I had like 13k with the High Elf. So let's go ahead and do this, the racials. Oops. Let's do the racials. Now we have 28k stamina. Not even 1k more. Barely. And 17k health, 12k magicka. So everything's pretty similar, right? So let's go ahead and do this. And I'm going to do this with another race afterwards. So here we go. Buffing up. Drinking my potion. Okay. So this came out a little awkward. Not gonna lie, and I know why it did, and that is because of the mistake I made at the beginning. So I made a mistake at the beginning. I'm going to do it one more time. try to remove that mistake and get more of a correct comparison. But as you guys can see, I'm still within the same margins of that high elf. So let's go ahead and let the potions wear off. Swap bars. Alright, do this. Drink our potion. Alright, again, 29,313. How am I getting less damage than the other one? I even have a higher crit chance, right? Let's try this again. I'll get worse that time because of the mistake I made. Gonna have to wait for him to re-ready up. Alright. Here we go. Probably not even gonna get that close this time. Alright, there we go. Now you guys saw this. You guys have been watching. I've been doing the same parse almost every time. 27, 29, 31. Now let's go get on a Dunmer. Now I've been doing this since yesterday morning. I've been pretty much up until like 11 o'clock last night. And then even this morning I got up and I've been doing this. So we're going to get on a Dunmer now. Now Dunmer has higher max stamina and weapon damage. So they're going to be, man, these guys are going to raffle stomp those two. I mean, just completely wipe them out of the park. Right? And this is what people have been showing on on everywhere. Like, people have been explaining this everywhere. So here we go. We're going to do the racial passives. Okay, let's see the base again. 11, 16, 27. Oops. And if you guys are running what I'm using gear-wise, I'm using Reliquin, Advancing Yodakai, and Veladrits. I'm using the typical A-meta setup. So let's take a look at the stats now. 28k, 17, 13, and our weapon damage did go up by 258. So let's do this. $36,000 damage. But we're going to do it again. We're going to do this 3 times. $32,000. Because I want to leave room for error. $30,928, and I did make an error. So this one I made an error, this one I didn't, and this one I did. The difference is if you look at the crits versus what I didn't crit. So this one, I had more crits successful, and I critted with sub. I didn't crit with subterranean assault here, but I did crit with it there, yeah. But I got less crits, and I got less crits. And that's because of the way the game's math works. It's not rocket science. It's actually quite good. So we're going to do one more racial change. We're going to switch to Redguard this time. And I'm going to show you with the Redguard. Now you're going to think Redguard, Redguard, Khajiit, and them are going to be pretty close because they're similar. But let's go ahead and get in here and do this because I want you guys to see, like, the differences in the races is very marginal. It's so small, in fact, you can't complain about it. And this is why it's so good. Now, you will have sustain issues on some classes with some races because of certain things. So, base stats, you guys know them pretty well by now. Let's go in and do the skills. Stats, 29k, 16, 11. So we don't get the health bonus like we had on the Khajiit or the other one. We do get the max stam, and our weapon damage is equivalent to that of the Khajiit. So let's go ahead and boost up. All the same. Like, it's been the same so far. Let's try this one more time. We'll do it a few more times. $31,000 this time. We're going backwards. 30 or 29, almost 30, 31,000. Right. Last one. $31,190. Not even close to what the Dark Elf got. But they're all within comparable range. And this is what a lot of us have been pointing out to people is, even though you're seeing like this big, you're not seeing this big discrepancy difference. The reason why is because we're not getting as much of a bonus to what we had before, racial wise and stuff. Just because one race has this or this doesn't mean that you can't do the same thing. And here we go again. Same race, 4 times in a row now. And I've gotten 30,000, 31,000. I've gotten within the same margin. So if I did this again, what would I get? Would I get closer to the same margin, or would I get worse? And this is where the community isn't quite grasping that this change is really good, because it just means that everything is more well balanced when it comes to the races. The difference is very minute, and it's not enough to make like huge detrimental changes. Like, oh god, I can't play this. Like, oh, I want to be a Khajiit because I like the race, but I can't play it because they suck at DPS. Now you can say, you know what? I want to be a Khajiit because I want to be a Khajiit. Or you can say, you know what? I feel like I want to be a Breton. Because that's what I like. I like being a Breton. Or even better, how about we say this? I want to be an Argonian. Stamina DPS. Because what's the big difference? What's going to change? I'm going to get more max health, but that's it. I'm going to get some max magicka. And I'm going to have this potion passive to where whenever I drink a potion, I'm going to get a lot of resources back. But what's different between me and a Redguard? 2,000 stamina and the way we sustain, that's it. And that's pretty much all it is. I mean, everyone's really going crazy over very minor changes, but the changes are so good that it's actually better for the game. And I can do this all day long. And I have been doing it all day yesterday. My hands were I was so tired last night when I quit doing this. I was happy to go to bed. But as you guys can see, I've done it with 4 different races now. High Elf, Khajiit, Dark Elf, Redguard, and now Argonian. And the difference is so minor. It's not even funny. And if I were to do this on an actual target skeleton, could you imagine how much longer this video would be? $28,000. Hey, guess what? I'm getting closer to the last one we tested. But that's what we're trying to say is you can use the best build in the game. Veladrits, Reliquin, and Advancing Yodokai. And guess what you're going to get in the end? You're going to get the same results. You're going to get the same results every single time. Why is that? Why are you going to get the same results with each race? It's because of this right here. 27,378. This is the same as the High Elf. It's 750 different from the Khajiit. It's 2,000 different from the Redguard. Unlike before, if this was the difference between this and a Redguard would be sitting at 30k. Because it would give you 10% of 27,000. Now it gives you exactly 2,000 difference. And that's where the discrepancy lies. Is it's not big enough to go, oh, well, I gotta be this. It's more like, what do I feel like playing? Like, I want to get some advantages to what I'm playing. Like, maybe I want to play a Dark Elf because if at some point down the road I want to switch to Magicka, I can. And I'm not going to be neutered. Not like I was before. Or if I wanted to go from Magicka to Stamina. Or if I want to be an Orc. Because I like their passives and how they play with how they work with the race. I like them. And I want to play an Orc. So I make an Orc. Do the same thing because I want to be an Argonian. But that's what I'm getting at. The difference is so small now. That's why you're seeing the values of like DPS. Like when Asian God did his, like 47k DPS, 46k DPS, 47k DPS, 48k DPS. Like that was the range. They were so close to each other that people were like, how is this possible? And it's because of the variance in value isn't so detrimental now. It's not so massive. And even before, it wasn't super massive, but it was enough that it made a difference. And it wasn't even that big of a difference. If you can sustain on a race, you can play it. And that's basically what they're trying to tell people, is like, if you can play a Nord Magicka DPS, like if you can sustain it and you can play it, you're good to go. Like, you don't have to worry. Because your DPS is not going to be as bad as you think. It's going to be so small, the difference between it and this High Elf, it's not going to make a huge difference. Because these flat values get added flat. They don't get amplified or anything. They're just flat values. Here you go. Here's 750 extra Magicka. Here's 750 extra health, stamina. You're getting all of them. So if you choose you want to be a tank, you're going to have 750 health over this, you know, Breton. But the Breton's going to get 2K magic and this really cheap magic cost abilities and all this stuff. It comes down to how you choose to play. Is there going to be races that are going to be better? Sure, in some people's eyes. And even if you do it based on the math, the difference is still too small. It's too small to say, Khajiit's going to be the best. Now, Khajiit's going to be great on Nightblades and Templars. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be up there with the rest of the races. But they're not going to be the best. Because even a High Elf can do really good on one. Even a Dark Elf can do really good on those. They might not have the 8% crit bonus that the race gives, which makes their crits more effective, but just because their crits are more effective doesn't mean they're going to crit all the time. And that's kind of what the devs are trying to say with this update is, hey, we want to change the races, but we want to make them really where players can still play the game and enjoy it, but they're not being limited on what they can and can't play. We want you to be able to play that Argonian tank, or that Argonian stam DPS, or that Argonian mage. And yes, I did test this with both Magicka and Stamina DPS on with the top builds, guys. And it's I'm getting the same thing constantly, the same exact thing every time. Nothing changes. Like, heck, I even took an Argonian Stamina DPS, went and did the new dungeon, and was just under the top DPS guy by, like, 2.5k. Literally. And the guy was like, how is this possible? How are you just right underneath me? And I was like, because it's not that big of a difference. It's marginal. The guy was a Redguard. 2k difference in damage, and it like I said, it's not enough to gripe about it or lose your cookies about it. Like when people talk about the Dark Elf, how they're going to be a lot weaker than, like I'm literally seeing no difference. Like when I parse test with my Dark Elf Mag DK against a High Elf Mag DK, there is literally no difference now. It's almost like the ESO gods are looking down at us going, you guys deserve this. You guys are gonna like this. You guys are gonna like this change. And again, you guys, like I made a mistake with this rotation. 28k, 28k, 30k. Like the difference is marginal. You can say that Argonian will suck at Stamina DPS because you're only getting 28k on this. But in the right hands, like somebody who's really skilled at rotations and all that kind of stuff, they're going to pull 40k, 50k, possibly even 60k DPS, depending if they can keep the sustain. If they can keep the sustain, they will never have to worry. And that's pretty much what people have been saying. Is like, you don't have to worry about what you play. Like, if you're worried about being a Dark Elf because they're not top DPS, they're not far off. In fact, they're so minutely off that it's not even funny. We're talking like 0.5% at most. Maybe 1.5%. And if you're concerned about 1.5%, that's not even 1,000 points difference. That's like 500 points different. Maybe 700 point difference. But it's not enough to go, well, I'm not going to play this anymore because I don't like it. If you were able to sustain before, you can still sustain today. Like, it's not changing. Like, especially on Dark Elf. They didn't have sustain before anyways. So nothing's changing with the Dark Elf. They're still just as powerful. They're weaker, just like the High Elf's weaker. But they're not so weak they can't play. It's kind of like when people are talking about the change between dual wield. Dual enchants didn't change the DPS by a huge margin. Like 5k. And that's because you lost 5k damage. When you look at the bonuses you get now. This is half of what you would get normally. This is half of what you'd get normally. And I can sustain. Like, with an Argonian, I can sustain with that 230 every 4 seconds or whatever. And the fact that I've got 1,000 something stam recovery. And then when I drink a potion, I go to 1,382. So I have pretty good sustain. Not the best, but I have good sustain. And this allows me to stay in the fight just as long, just as good. And I am wearing the atypical setup, just so people can see. I'm wearing all weapon enchants, 1 bloodthirsty, 2 infused. This is like a normal setup, by the way. All Reliquin, all advancing Yodokai, and Veladrits. So I'm using the atypical setup that most stamina DPS use. And I've done this with every race. Like I said, I've tested every single race. Not just on this parsing skeleton, on the 3 million, the 6 million, everything. Now, do you have issues with... If you have issues with sustain, you're going to have issues with your DPS. I can't get my DPS higher than 35k. And that's with a Redguard and a Breton. No matter what I do, I can't get above 35k. Now, in a group, I can pull 45, almost 50k with a Redguard or a Breton on magic DPS. But on a high elf, I can do like 40k DPS because I can't sustain as well. Because I'm not good with that playstyle. That's not my playstyle. That's not how I can... I'm not effective that way. So that's why I mostly play tanks and healers in dungeons. I play DPS outside of dungeons in trials because I'm still learning. I'm still practicing. I practice every day too. But that's the gist of it, guys. Is everything's within such a close margin that it's super hard to tell, like, which race is going to be better for what, even. Because there's such minor increases to our characters. Like, people are blowing those minor increases into massive increases, and they're not. They're very minor increases. I even thought that we got the 20% and the 8% increase from this stuff. We don't. We don't get anything. We get just a flat 1,000. Here you go. And we might get a small bonus, but it's you don't notice it. Like, you don't notice how much you get extra. Like, if it says 1,000, you're gonna get 1,000, maybe a little bit more, maybe. And the same thing when you get 2,000, you're gonna get 2,000, maybe a little bit more. If you get 750, you're gonna get a little bit more. But it's so small, it's not even funny. Like, it's not enough to make a huge, like, oh my god, I'm playing a high elf, I'm doing like 50k DPS compared to any other race. It's more like, hey, I'm doing a high elf, I'm doing 50k DPS. Hey, I'm a dark elf, I'm doing 50k DPS. Hey, I'm a Khajiit, I'm doing 50k DPS. Hey, I'm a wood elf, I'm doing 50k DPS. Because we're all playing the same build. The only thing that's different is the race. And the race isn't enough to make a huge difference. It might be like 49k DPS, but it's still within that range. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could go through this 100 different ways of Sunday, but to be honest, I can't explain it any better than the races are really well balanced. In fact, they are so well balanced, if they made it any better, they may as well just remove racial passives. Like, if they made it any closer, they may as well remove them. Right now, we have some differences. And when the next update hits, and people say, oh, Nord's going to be the meta, man. Well, fine, let it be the meta. But it doesn't mean I have to play one. Doesn't mean Joe Schmo over there has to play one. The heck, Joe Schmo could go play a freaking Argonian tank. I could play a Wood Elf tank. This guy over here could play an Argonian, or a Redguard tank. This guy over here could play a Imperial tank. the difference is going to be marginal. The only thing that's going to make the Nord any good is the fact that everyone at endgame wants you to have ultimate gen like crazy, and that's what's going to make them really good. But if you can't sustain on that build, you may as well give up. Argonian's so much easier to sustain on, even as stamina DPS. Like, you can't make it any easier. Like, I have no problem sustaining on an Argonian because you get so much back from resources. And yeah, in a group I can sustain with just orbs and potions. Almost no recovery whatsoever needed. It's that easy. And it's not complicated or rocket science, it's just how the game's made. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you guys understand that I wasn't trying to do this to be harsh or rude. I just wanted to show you guys what people are getting and why it's important that we understand why this is good. Because this is super good. This is so good, in fact, it's amazing. And I have to give the devs a major thumbs up on this, because this just proves that they're listening. And that they do want to get the game balanced. Is it perfect? No. And it never will be. The only way it will ever be perfect is if they remove all stats from the game. And then everyone would be on an equal level. Wouldn't matter what you play. But this way, there is some differences, and those differences are going to be minor, and in some cases they might even be a little bit bigger, but it's not going to be enough to make a huge difference. So if your friend comes into the game and says, no, I want to play an Argonian Stamina Nightblade, let him. Help him play it. Help him learn how to play it like that. And don't tell them, oh, you're gimping yourself. Tell them, man, that's cool. I like that. Let's go play. Because that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to have to pick one race over another because it gets better results. They want you to pick a race because you want to play it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I could go on. I could rag. I could bitch. I could moan. Just like everybody else. But I took the time, like a lot of other people, and we went in and we tested. And we found out that they did a really good job of balancing the races. I mean, I would even go as far as say they're so close that you couldn't fit a piece of paper between them, but that's a lie. You couldn't fit a CD case between them, or a VHS tape, or maybe even a DVD case between them, because it's that close. I mean, we are talking super close. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, if you guys have your own thoughts and opinions on it, let me know. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. I know I forgot something too. If you guys like the video, you know, you can hit like. If you guys want to subscribe, you can subscribe. Later. Bye.